Detroit Mercy beginning a new era of basketball, bringing home Bacari Alexander to Callahan Hall. Media Day today, and Alexander, one of the hottest names in coaching circles for years, finally leaving John Beilein's staff at Michigan. He took a job we know locally can be a good one, but a lot of people around the country surprised to see him land at his alma mater. You're home. I mean, here we are. This is the job that I know you've been looking at for a long time. How good does it feel to suit up today with your guys, with everybody in uniform here?
It's been exciting. We had 6 practices thus far, and we're going into practice 7 tomorrow. The thing that's been really exciting, Brad, is the enthusiasm that our seniors have displayed. The high level of buy-in has been permeating throughout the team, throughout the community, campus community that is, and even Metro Detroit. It's an exciting time right now as we unveil this new brand, building a boundless future, new basketball program under new leadership, the Live 6 Alliance that we have going on right here in the Northwest Corridor of Detroit, and this great American city. Right now, I think, is the perfect time for us to grow this program congruent with what's going on in the city of Detroit.
You were a guy at Michigan that for so long people said this is a rising star in the college basketball world. It's just a matter of time before he gets a high-level job, a big-time program job. And I think when you took this job, you had a lot of people out there wondering, well, why did he settle? What would you say to people that say, why did he settle for Detroit Mercy?
I think what happens is we have to do a better job of educating people on Detroit Mercy. We're standing in the historic Callahan Hall on Dick Vitale Court, known as the Memorial Hall building, built in the early 1950s. But we're also standing on a campus that is the home of the oldest Division I basketball program in our state. We're 110 years old. I believe Michigan is 101 this year. And what we want to do is not only highlight our lineage of those years, but also remind people we've produced 22 NBA players. You don't have to look that far back, for that evidence. 2013 produced Ray McCallum Jr., who's with the Detroit Pistons this season, amongst many, many others. And so our program is not only one of a rich tradition, but it's a destination place, not only for future prospects, but for coaches, like myself and many others, like Perry Watson and Smokey Gaines and even Bob Callahan, just to name a few.
When that human nature, though, settles in and you see jobs pop up and you hear people say, well, you can go get this job, you can get this job. I mean, was it tough in a program like Michigan and saying, I can go get this job, or was this the one you were waiting for?
I think paradise sometimes is where you are. And one of the things that Coach Beilein and I discussed with future opportunities is fit. And when you're looking at different opportunities that come open throughout the country, what you're looking for is a couple, variables. One is a commitment to that program, both administratively and through the athletics department. 2, you're looking for a tradition. Do they have a history of winning, in their past or in recent, history. The other thing that you're looking for is location. And I couldn't think of a better city right now in the United States than the city of Detroit to be in when you talk about stocks and bonds and things of that nature. This is a stock right now that is not only hot, but this is a city that has an energy in it that is unlike any other place in America right now.
We can feel it, and this is home for me too. Your team doesn't exactly have this wealth of talent that was left to you as far as all conference players and all league players and NBA prospects. Is it a challenge that you accept? Is it a challenge that you love coming into this building and saying we can create those guys, we can take the guys we have and make them that type of talent?
Well, one of the things we can do is we can make sure we compete at a very high level. I think it's important, Brad, that we understand when you're building something, it's all about the foundation that you lay down. We want to be a team that's hard to play against on the defensive end of the floor, so we start with that. A lot of people would suggest it doesn't take a whole lot of talent to play defense, so we want to make sure we do that, limit teams to one shot on the goal to the degree that we can. Let that fuel our offense. You're talking about 8 holdovers from a previous team that was one of the tops in the country in scoring at over 83 points a game. So we want to preserve, that attitude, on the offensive end. But at the same time, I think moving forward, there's a changing of landscape in the recruiting fabric throughout the Midwest where kids are looking to go away from home. And even though that causes a heartburn as you look into Detroit PSL, the Catholic League schools, and things of that nature for guys looking to go elsewhere. Well, you got cities in Ohio, Illinois, Pennsylvania, and others that are also excited about the city of Detroit. When I look at my roster, which has an international flair, it has some East Coast and some West Coast flair to it, some local flair to it, I think that's what college athletics is today. And so we have to mine talent wherever it is and look for players that are running through the doors for Detroit Mercy.
When you got into this place as the head coach, what was it like for you on the first day, and what has it been like today in comparison? Has there been, I don't want to say comfort level, because I don't think coaches ever like using the word comfortable, but has there been a sort of grace period for you to really take control and feel like you are the guy back in charge of this program?
167 days ago when I stood on the podium here, it was a very surreal, fairy tale-like experience. When you talk about standing on the shoulders of giants, I had mentioned, Perry Watson, who I was an understudy of, not only at Southwestern when he left my sophomore year, but here at Detroit Mercy when we ushered in a couple NCAA tournament berths and championship teams as well. You think about guys that came before him, like the Dick Vitales, like the, Bob Callahans, there's so many great coaches as I stand here, the 20 that came before me, now me being the 21st, that humbles you. I think at the same time, when you fast forward to today, you start settling into the idea of being that shepherd, leading these guys, to a level that not only our fans and alums can appreciate, but the student athletes themselves can, because those eligibility periods of 4 to 5 seasons go by so fast. I remember like yesterday cutting down the nets against Cleveland State here at Callahan Hall with my teammate Jermaine Jackson, who's now on our staff. And now it's about shifting the narrative to today's player.
The Oakland rivalry is something kind of new, at least here between Detroit Mercy and between Oakland. How have you settled into kind of absorbing the feel for that rivalry between two schools?
Yeah, it's interesting. Last time that I was in the league, our #1 rival was Butler. We couldn't stand that little dog running around the arena in Hinkle Fieldhouse before games. Now, I haven't seen any Grizzlies, running around in pregame rituals.
Thank God for that.
But one of the things I will say is that that program has built a tremendous level of respect in my point of view. Greg Campy and his staff has done a marvelous job of not only attracting talent to come back home from the Detroit area, which is a little bit ironic since I've been away for some years, but I think it's a partnership that can only solidify a great feel for basketball in this area. A really good Oakland University basketball team and a really good Detroit Mercy basketball team not only will attract a new host of fans and supporters, but I think there's room for both of us in this town. Now, it is a rival, and I love Greg to death, man. He's such a great guy, one of our tenured coaches in all of Division I. But one of the things that's going to be very important to us is to understand one thing. It is not a rival until we can win games. So we don't have any countdown clocks. We don't have any special rituals for that game, but it's a game that we will always highlight on the schedule.
As we stand here, over our shoulder is Reggies Corner. And I know that's going to be permanent there, and I know you put some signage up inside your office. Reggie meant a ton to us, and I know you guys had a pretty cool bond too.
Reggie Hall and I will forever be bonded as what we call Titan Road Scholars. There was a period of time when I was traveling with the Globetrotters that I had some vacation periods. Now this is during the back end of the Rashad Phillips era, and they were making this magnificent run during the NIT. And I would get on the bus with Reggie and other Titan, fans, supporters, and alums, and we traveled throughout, the East Coast, man, the Yukon, to Madison Square Garden. And Reggie and I really got to know one another well. And the thing that I always appreciated about Reggie and the lasting lessons, that he left all of us was his infectious passion, you know, not only for Titan athletics, but for success and winning and persevering. I mean, here's a man that not only was one of the few rare African Americans to play baseball here at Detroit Mercy, but he was a guy that trailblazed a career not only in television, mentored so many people, even to the likes of yourself, Brad, you know, and me as a student athlete here, just with regards to leadership, I mean, encouragement. I talked to some of our players from last year's team that talk about how inspiring he was after a debilitating loss to Vanderbilt last year on the road. He was right there in the airport saying, hey, fellas, keep your head up, things of that nature. That was Reggie Hall. So he's worth honoring. His legacy will be preserved, and we will always keep him in our conversations during my tenure.
I thank you for that personally, man. I mean, he's one of a kind, so thanks a ton for doing that.
Oh, without question.